thank you again for attending. We appreciate you joining us here tonight, and I'm going to share the screen and get the PowerPoint presentation up. And once that is up, then our Director of Engineering, Bevan Harleton, will take it away. So let me just go there, and Bevan, you can turn your mic on. I'll turn my mic off.
Okay, so this is what we're doing here is we're introducing phase 6 of cast iron for 2021. So the program started in 2015. Obviously, we're in the 6th year of this. This is the 2nd year of the city doing the design and the construction services in-house. So we're no longer using a consultant for our design, for our testing, for our construction services. That work's being borne internally by myself and Travis, and some admin and construction support, both in engineering and in public works. So I guess I'll introduce myself. My name is Bevan Harleton. I'm the Director of Engineering. So I provide support to Travis and his design and construction team for cast iron. Travis is down there in the chat. If you can give a wave. Travis is our project manager. This is his 2nd year in running cast iron, and he did a heck of a job last year. So we've got the right guy to run the project. And also we've met Craig, who's our communications manager. Craig's really involved in this project. He attends our weekly meetings, and you know, at the end of every week, Craig puts out a press release and is helping us to provide updates to the public, because it's a really, it's a really public project, and it's really affecting your street and your home when we're in front of your house doing the work. So thanks to Craig for that. You can go to the next slide, Craig. So the contract for this year has been awarded to NIS. NIS is the contractor that won last year's program as well. Last year was the first year at cast iron. I think for being new to this type of work and all the different things that it encompasses, NIS did a really good job. So we're happy to be working with NIS again. They have a great working relationship with our team, a lot of trust there. And last year, I saw NIS work with us to come up with a lot of solutions. So a lot of things that could have went sideways didn't, because we were able to work with them to solve problems as they came up. So cast iron water main replacement, or iron water main replacement, primarily is replacing the water mains. And then as we're passing by your house or your property, that's a chance for you to replace your water or your sanitary services. So in this presentation, I'll talk about the project itself, how you as the home or a business owner coordinates with the contractor to get your work done if you choose to do so, and run things through from there. You can go to the next slide. So the project periphery, like around the cast iron work, we're also replacing sidewalks that are deficient, and we're replacing sidewalks when we're doing your service work. On the storm side, we're replacing damaged or obsolete catch basins, and the catch basin leads that run out to the storm main. We're repairing and replacing storm and sanitary manholes as needed, and we're also including replacement and lining of storm and sanitary mains while we're in there replacing the water main. So what we're going for is I think that, you know, the term that's being used is a turnkey project. So when we're done, the intent is that all the infrastructure is renewed, and we're not having to go back in there and replace things for as long as possible. On the road side, we're doing a full road overlay, and if there's anything that's needed to be repaired underneath that in that road structure, we go down and get the road up to the new standard that it needs to be at. So it's an inclusive project with the intent of leaving there for as long as we can. You can go to the next slide. So cast iron is, you know, this pipe's 100 or 110 years old. And, you know, this slide talks about high break rates, health and safety, reduced flow rates, and all this stuff. But the thing for me is cast iron's served its purpose for 80, 100, 110 years, and it's time for it to go. On the infrastructure side, the one that's big for us is reduced flow and pressures, and you can see that in the drawings. That really affects the system. I mean, if you've got a 6-inch water main that the bore is down to 3 inches, 2.5 inches, you're obviously going to have decreased flow, decreased pressure. So I guess the point of this slide is that pipe's done its job and it's time for it to be replaced. So lead services, this is your water service, or might be your water service. So lead services were used at the same time. This material was used at the same time that cast iron was put in the ground to provide our water. So since lead services were put in the ground, it's come to light that it has a number of health and environmental impacts. So that is the reason why, as we replace the cast iron water mains, we're seeking to remove these lead service lines. The health impacts are outlined here: learning disabilities, speech, nervous system. So again, this is a material that was used predominantly, and now it's time for it to come out of the ground. It's has come to light that there are some health impacts with lead services. So with your lead service, or with any water service, the city owns that infrastructure up to the property line and pays for that water service to be replaced up to the property line. From your property line to your home, that is on the private side or the homeowner side, and it's the homeowner's responsibility to replace that pipe. So with that, there are two things that will happen. Is either there will be a partial replacement, which is when the city does its replacement and the homeowner elects not to replace their pipe, or a full replacement, which is when the homeowner engages with the contractor and works with the city and the contractor to get their lead service replaced as well. What happens with lead pipe is when you cut and expose the fresh face of that pipe, your lead levels will actually increase, and they actually spike. We do any lead service that we are coming across, we do work with Public Works and come into your home and do lead testing. And that's something we track, and then if we have to, we offer filters. And it is something we try to mitigate when working with the homeowners, but cutting through that pipe actually exposes lead that wasn't previously exposed. And there hasn't been any recorded outfall with that or anything. It's just something I do want to note. On the private side, inside your home, there's been tests where within your plumbing in your bathroom, within your plumbing in your kitchen, there may still be a presence of lead, and that would be, I think I would suggest it would be something that if you had interest as a homeowner or as a business owner, you could engage with a plumber to look at what's happening inside your home. The intent here for us is to try and replace your water service, your lead water service, up to your footing of your home or up to your water meter. But we'll talk more about getting your private side services replaced later on in the presentation. So no corrode is the next thing. No corrode is a certain type of sanitary service. So the previous is lead, that's for your water. No corrode, you can see in the picture here, this is the type of sanitary service that was put in after the Second World War, actually. So into the 40s and 50s and into the 60s, no corrode was a predominant material type. Basically, no corrode is pressed cardboard which has been infused or impregnated with tar. So low cost, doesn't corrode, lightweight. So it had all these benefits when folks started using it, and as time passes, excuse me, as time passes, the tar and the cardboard separate, and you can see it has a tendency to crumple or fold. So we would suggest that if you do have no corrode services, this would be a time to get your sanitary service replaced. I believe that we'll be talking about the sanitary ownership a bit more, but just so I don't forget, I'll just talk about it now. So your sanitary service is different than your water services. The water service you own from the property line of your house into your house. On the sanitary side, you actually own that sanitary service from your home all the way out to the sanitary main. So that means that material is your responsibility. It's a privately owned piece of infrastructure. You can head to the next slide, Craig. Okay, we're jumping back to the cast iron program. So this year we're replacing just over 3 kilometers of cast iron water mains. This is looking to be a heavy year a heavy year on the water service side. So we've counted 215 water service connections, which will be potentially replaced. We're estimating our capital work to be, our total project cost to be between $5 and $6 million. So we've found so far that kind of the 3 kilometer, $6 million limit is what's working right now with construction season. Things always change. If budget changes and we have more funding available for cast iron, we would be looking at ways to increase our delivery, increase our design, and increase our construction work. But this is a good scope for this year, and we're pretty confident we can get this one done. Okay, so into the private side. So we're, like I said previously, we're replacing lead services. There's an option to replace your sewer service on the sanitary sewer side. Another time that we are seeking to do water replacement is when your water line is undersized. So there's a number of locations in the city where the water service is copper, but it's 5/8 instead of 3/4. So standards today are that we're doing our water services to 3/4 inch. So whenever we're coming across a 5/8, we're replacing that up to the property line, and then working with the homeowner to see if they want to have that replacement done as well. Benefits to health and safety. Big one here for me is increased reliability and security. Or in other words, we've got a contractor that we trust coming right by your house, right by your doorstep. The equipment's there. It's the right time to have a look at what sort of material you have, see how old it is, see if it's lead, and look at getting that work done while we've got our contract out in front of your home. Okay, the engagement process. What will happen very shortly, and I believe from talking to Travis that NIS has not yet sent letters out, but very soon, rather than later, NIS will be sending out letters to everyone in the affected locations in the city, which will have their contact information. It's important for you to reach out to NIS and say hello and let them know that you would like them to come to your house and have a look at how they would replace your water service and have a look at your sanitary service, and they provide quotes at that time. There's 2 different options for getting that work done. There's the open cut on the left, and there's pipe bursting, which is on the right. Pipe bursting is less invasive. If you've got old trees in front of your house, any features you would want to, not disturb, then trenchless is an option. It's a bit pricier than the traditional open trench method. You can head to the next guy, Craig. So like I just said, notifications are sent out prior to construction. And then I believe the way it reads here, notifications are again sent out prior to mobilization to your street, advising of traffic accommodations, temporary water, and boil water advisories. So the big thing here is that when work starts on your street, our contractor has to submit and have approved a traffic accommodation plan where they work with the city to figure out the least invasive way to direct traffic around the site. They also have to submit and have approved an isolation plan for the water and a temporary water servicing plan. So when you do start seeing activity on your street, they aren't going to start cutting and ripping up your road right away. They won't turn the water off. The first thing they have to do is put up their own traffic accommodations to make sure the site's safe for them, and then to install temporary water to every home and business that's affected. So NIS comes in, they install the temporary water. We do our 2 water tests, make sure the water's potable and safe. Once that temporary water is active and turned on, then we'll shut off the water service. So a question I've had in past years, and I mean it's a good one, is how long am I going to be out of water? Well, the answer to that is none. The temp water is in place before any of that work is allowed to continue. Also, that gives time to NIS. It gives time for NIS to go through and talk to each homeowner and figure out what everyone wants to get done on their private side. And again, before any of that happens, you'll be getting your letters from NAS, and we'll have a chance to communicate with them to figure out what it is you would want to do. Next slide here is about approximate costs. So this is just, these are just estimates based on previous years. The open cut methods is running $9,500, and the trenchless method is running at about $12,500. So these are again just estimates, and what happens is NAS actually comes to your house and provides you a quote based on what they see, and then you're invoiced based off of that. This is just to give you a general idea of what anticipated costs would be. The way this works is you engage with the contractor and sign an agreement with the contractor, but you don't actually have any, you don't transfer funds from yourself to the contractor in any way. So the agreement side with the contractor, the city pays for it, and then you as the homeowner pay the city for the cost of the work. The two options for paying for your service is upfront in full, or you can finance it with the city over 7 years. I believe it's over 7 years at 4%. The reason why we don't flip that transaction to be between the homeowner and the contractor primarily is to keep things safe for the contractors, so that they're not having to be in a situation where they are doing the invoicing and the bookkeeping for a number of different places. By keeping it all between us, all the money between the city and then the homeowner and then the city over the contractor, it keeps things safest for the contractor and keeps them at arm's length from that part of the transaction. Next slide here shows the 2021 locations. So site 1 is Caribou. This is the big one at 1,370 meters, and that is from 4th to 10th. Site 2 is 7th Avenue, running from Caribou north to Saskatchewan. Site 3 is Carleton, a single block, running from 9th to 10th. And then down on the south is Site 4, Elsom, and that's running from Main to 2nd Avenue. So the first 3 sites are primarily brake driven, previous cast iron water main brake driven. Elsom is what's happening down at Elsom is that's loosely the end of the new east feeder main that we completed this year. And as that feeder main terminates and passes water out to the rest of the distribution system, that area around Elsom and that area around location 4 there's a lot of cast iron in the ground. So we're going to start looking at ways to remove cast iron from that location and connect new lines up into that new feeder main and refresh that area over the next 5 to 10 years. Site 5 is Fairford. This work is not being done under the cast iron construction contract. What's happening there is there is a new feeder line being ran from the west side of that Site 5 down to the new Agri-Food Industrial Park, and that'll be providing water to the SAS Power twin turbine gas plant, among other future tenants down there. So through installing that new feeder main at Site 5, we've identified 2 blocks of cast iron. So we will be replacing 2 blocks of cast iron over there in Site 5 in coordination with this agri-food servicing work. The last slide is the questions slide. We do have the City of Moose Jaw app. I believe it's called My Civic, where you can register communications at any time about anything related to city work, cast iron among that, and then we have a dedicated email for cast iron water mains at watermainreplacement@moosejaw.ca. So those are your points of contacts for to engineering itself and for the cast iron water main project.